welcome to episode 658 of Good Luck High Five. This is a Magic podcast for anybody who loves Magic the Gathering. I'm one of your hosts, Maria.
And I'm another host, Tyler.
And what is this, COVID times? We're recording virtually, Tyler.
I mean, depending on who you talk to, we are still in COVID times, unfortunately, but we're not in the lockdown times of COVID.
Yes.
And so things, whether it's true, whether it's fair or not, whether it's right or not, things have changed. And
so true.
Yeah, it is a little unusual to be recording in this way.
Yes. Megan and I recorded this way for many months back in 2020. But now we're doing it again because I am feeling a bit under the weather. Megan is out this week. She's at a wedding, wearing a dress, by the way, that she designed and sewed herself.
Very cool. And it's very pretty. We both have seen it, and it's quite stunning.
I think if you are in our Discord, if you're a patron, you should go in there and bully Megan into showing a picture of it because you need to see.
Don't ask her, bully her.
Yeah. I chose the words I chose.
Yeah, you did.
But she's not here this week, so Tyler is sitting in with me. Thank you, Tyler. Welcome to the show once again.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I'm very happy to be back.
I'm feeling a bit under the weather. Hopefully I'll be up to full 100% strength tomorrow again, but I thought it best to, quarantine myself for one day more.
Les Mis style.
Les Mis style, yeah. Thank you. You know what was happening in my brain. And we didn't want to miss an episode for this week because Spider-Man previews are well and truly underway at Wizards of the Coast, and it's very exciting to get our Spidey cards shown to us for the first time. We know about the set's mechanics now. We know about a new draft that's going to be happening with this set, art treatments of the cards, and of course the Through the Omenpaths version of the cards, which is going to come to Arena. So we're going to talk about that.
The slightest bit confusing to him.
No, God, no. It's going to be the most straightforward thing you all ever heard of. That's for sure. Tyler, what is your history with Spider-Man? Were you a Spidey lover when you were a kid?
Yeah, I'll say I wasn't heavily into comics at any point in my life, but Spider-Man was always one of my favorites. I think he was one of my dad's favorites, and so that was kind of, passed down to me from him. Just the notion of the sort of everyman style of hero, I think, always really appealed to me. And he was having trouble paying his rent. He was unable to just fly around. He had to make gadgets a little bit and also had power. It was like he just had a lot of all of the things that are interesting about a lot of the superheroes that were existing up to that point, and he kind of hybridized them a little bit and also created a situation in which he was really relatable, I think. And I will also say one of the all-timer, catchphrases, the "with great power comes great responsibility." It's so good. It's great. It's right up there with anything. Who needs the Bible? You've got just that one phrase. That's how I feel.
Absolutely, that's a great moral compass for anybody looking for one. And I mean, even the term Spidey sense, people say that all the time.
It's true. Yeah, it's very ubiquitous. Yeah.
I love Spider-Man as well, just because, like you mentioned, he's an everyman kind of character, and indeed truly is now with the Spider-Verse.
Yes. That's another cool thing about him, that there has been this way in which he/she has become so
/pig.
Yeah, /pig has become so stretched out that there is a way in which Spider-Man is all of us,
So true. So I'm excited to get into it this week. We're going to dig into all of those things that I mentioned. Some great, some good, some I'm going to give a huge thumbs down to, but you'll have to wait to find out which one's which.
And I'm excited to see how you make your thumb larger. That's what I'm
yeah.
It's like there's a normal thumbs down and then a huge thumbs down. Okay, yeah, just get it closer to the camera.
Closer to the camera.
That makes sense.
Man. Yeah, perspective. But before we kick off the show, a huge Spidey thank you to everyone who supports the show and makes it happen at patreon.com/GLHF Magic. We love each and every one of our patrons so very much. You truly make this show happen every week. Not only this show, but our show Commander Arcade, which you can find at youtube.com/@GLHF We have a brand new episode dropping this Friday, everyone.
Heyo.
You're going to want to see it because guess what? We are playing Spider-Man decks custom builds that we made on this episode, so you do not want to miss it. Debuting 10 a.m. Central Time over at youtube.com/@GLHF You gotta see it. It's a great game. And we get to play with these new cards before most people do, so it's pretty exciting too. And if you want to support that kind of work, this kind of work, we would so appreciate it. You get a pun shout out, Discord access, early episode releases, all of that and more. You can find out more about all of it at patreon.com/GLHFmagic. All right, first things first, friends, we're going to talk about the new mechanics that are debuting with this set, as is one of my favorite things to talk about when we get into a new set, because I just love mechanics.
Heyo.
And the first one we're going to talk about is a new mechanic called web-slinging. So this is something that Wizards wanted to develop to kind of show off how versatile Spider-Man's webs are in the way that he uses them.
Yeah.
You know, you can trap people in them. You can use them to fly around the city.
Yeah, it's I think from what I understand, the thought was, number one, it does it's like this burst of speed almost, or this ability to get places quicker or in ways that you wouldn't expect, which is the idea of these cards. Well, maybe we should read the mechanic before we talk about the metaphors behind it.
Yeah, before we go on too long here. Let's take a look at this card, Spider-Man Web Slinger. I mean, it's in the name.
Yeah.
Which is a 3/3 legendary creature spider-human hero for 2 and a white with web slinging for a single white mana, and it says you may cast a spell for white if you also return a tapped creature you control to its owner's hand. So huge discount to cast this card or other cards with web slinging if you're able to return a tapped creature to your hand.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, this one is I feel like some of them have well, obviously some of them are more complicated than this one because it's about as simple as it could get in that respect.
Yeah.
But what I like about this is that it does have that flavor of, as I was starting to say, this spider person coming in out of nowhere and coming in faster than you would expect. You know, like if you can play, best case scenario obviously is that you play this on turn. Well, there's maybe some strange situations in which you could play this on turn 1, but let's expect that for the most part you're not going to be able to play this before turn 2. But if this, a 3/3 coming down on turn 2, that's definitely a turn ahead of what you would expect. And if let's say you played some card that has an ETB effect, they on the preview stream they previewed this pigeon that is.
Oh, we got to talk about the pigeon.
Yeah, it's a 1 white mana for a 1/1 flying creature that when it comes into play, it creates a food.
No.
I'm sorry, when it leaves
the
play.
battlefield.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. I knew I was saying it wrong. So when it leaves the battlefield, it creates a food token. So 1 mana, 1/1 flyer. If that comes down on turn 1, you're happy with it. Like I'm thinking of limited here, as I often am, but you're pretty happy with that. That's a creature that's going to get in some damage. It's going to be there to be annoying for a long period of time. But let's say you have that turn 1 into this turn 2. You've played a turn 1. Yeah. You attack with the 1/1 flyer. You get a damage in. Then you web sling this in for 1. Then you can play if you're playing 2 planes. Let's say you could play this again. Like if you have another tapped creature, or I'm sorry, you could play the pigeon again is what I was starting to say. So you play the pigeon. You attack with the pigeon. Turn 2. You bring the pigeon back up to your hand. A food token is created. You've got a 3/3, and you play your 1/1 pigeon again, and you are very happy with life.
Oh, yes. I love this pigeon. In the art, it's called City Pigeon, the name of the card, too. Number 1, it's a pigeon. It's great. Number 2, this pigeon is stealing Spider-Man's hot dog. And so I really hope that when we see the food tokens, there is a hot dog
I think they've said that it is a hot dog. I'm pretty sure that they have confirmed that it is, in fact, a hot dog. So, excellent all the way around. Yes. Excellent all the way around.
Dog stealing bird. How could you?
Yeah.
We also know that web slinging is going to appear on instance as well,
which is cool. Yeah.
Last minute heroics.
Very tricky.
Yes,
Absolutely.
very tricky. Pretty cool. So that is a look at web slinging. I got to tell you, Tyler, I haven't personally played with the web slinging mechanic, but it does feel like you're thwipping. It feels like you're thwipping.
Yeah, one we won't reveal who, but one person in our Commander Arcade game did play with a lot of web slinging cards, and it really did. It felt like they were and their deck was built such that there were a lot of advantageous things happening when the creatures were coming back into their hand or being played again. So I'm curious to see in draft and otherwise how many cards like the City Pigeon there are that really pay you off for either tapping that, having them tapped or having them come back to your hand or leave play or come back into play. Because obviously you get that advantage too. If you have an ETB, you can play that again. If it's a good ETB, you might really want to bring the card back to your hand at some point. So excited about that for sure.
Let's take a look at our next mechanic here in Spider-Man. It is Mayhem, which you got to have if you're going to have a hero. You need some mayhem happening in the city.
Because otherwise, what are they doing?
What do they do?
Yeah, exactly.
Making someone a sandwich? I guess that's important too. But
yeah. Well.
Mayhem, you can see it on the card Electro's Bolt, 2 and a red for a sorcery at common. It deals 4 damage to target creature, and it also has Mayhem for 1 and a red. And the Mayhem reminder text says, you may cast this card from your graveyard for 1 and a red if you discarded it this turn. Timing rules still apply, so you can't cast this at instant speed, for instance. Yeah. For instance. Pretty straightforward. And what a deal if you're able to discard it and get value.
I mean, yeah, not only is it cheaper, but yeah, you're imagining that most of the time there's going to be some advantage to the thing that made you discard, like it will have, like you discarded a card for a reason to begin with. And then in addition to that, you get a cheaper card, like 2 mana for 4 damage is excellent. Like you're not going to get that at common almost ever.
No way.
So that's excellent. And you got the card advantage of whatever, you got the advantage or the value that you got from discarding in the first place. And then you get to still play the card. So it wasn't even like you discarded it at all in a lot of ways. So
yes.
Yeah.
And I happen to know that there are cards with Connive in this set, and Connive can certainly be a way to discard and then get additional value if you're able to Connive and then cast this again after you discard it. So
absolutely.
Keep your eyes out for that. Speaking of Connive, wow, it's almost like I set myself up here because that's our next mechanic, Tyler.
Interesting. Wow. Almost like you scrolled down a little bit farther on this list.
I know. Can you believe it?
Talk about Spidey sense.
Spidey sense. You want to read Connive for our beautiful listeners?
Absolutely. So we've had this mechanic fairly recently, but to recap it, or if you are new to the game, I'll say this card that I'm going to read is called Mechanical Mobster. It's really interesting art. It's a little there's something about it I find slightly disturbing. I don't like I feel like it's like
I want my mobsters to be flesh and bone.
Well, yeah, but I feel like the part that's really disturbing is I think this creature person is partially flesh and blood. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's where it gets a little, there's something about the face being all skin and the rest of them being a lot of like bleeps and bloops, like that really makes me a little uncomfortable. But that aside,
they were like, save the face. At least save the face.
That might be the story of this card. Yeah. But this is Mechanical Mobster. It's 3 colorless mana for an artifact creature, human robot villain, which is an important type in this set. And it says, when this creature enters, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard. Target creature you control connives. And connives, the reminder text on it is draw a card, then discard a card. If you discarded a non-land card, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. So, and it's a 2/1. So, So as you said, there's just this clearly will work very well with Mayhem in the sense that you're getting to draw a card. You're getting to put a counter on something, probably if it's a card with Mayhem. There might be lands with Mayhem, but like most of the time you're going to be getting to put a counter on the creature, and then you have the chance to play that card again if you have the mana remaining that turn. So
that's called value, kids.
That's called value for sure.
Look it up in the dictionary. It's a picture of us discarding a card with Mayhem.
It's a picture of all flesh face, all robot body.
That's a dream, quite honestly.
Hashtag goals.
I mean, if someone out there can make me a robot body, I might have been watching that new Alien TV show, Alien Earth. You see, to have me start thinking about such things. I remember seeing it and I was like, oh man, that's the goal. That is the goal. Put my consciousness inside a robot and let me go.
To be fair about those robots and specifically do look exactly like humans. So that's a little different than this card.
True. That's true.
I take your meaning.
So, like Knife, we're going to talk about other mechanics which have been here in the past, which are returning now with Spider-Man. Modal double-faced cards that transform is the next thing we're going to talk about here. And I want to pull up the card Gwen Stacy. And so the way they brought these cards into the set was to kind of illustrate, if you will, the transformation of various characters in the Spider-Man universe.
Yep.
So they might be like the good guy on one side and the villain on the other side, or whatever, however you want to think about it. In Gwen Stacy's case, it's her and Ghost Spider. So I'll read you the front of Gwen Stacy. She's 1 in a red, legendary creature, human performer hero. What on earth is that? We got some weird type lines in this set.
Yeah, I agree.
She's a mythic. When Gwen Stacy enters, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card for as long as you control this creature. So that's just great. Starting off, she's
Excellent.
a 2/1.
Yep.
Then she has a transform ability that's 2 blue, red, white. Transform her. Activate only as a sorcery. She turns into Ghost Spider, which is a 4/4, who also has a mana cost, I do want to say, on the backside, which is 2 blue, red, white. And this is a Spider Human hero. Flying, Vigilance, Haste. Whenever you play a land from exile or cast a spell from exile, put a +1/+1 counter on Ghost Spider. Remove 2 counters from Ghost Spider. Exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. Wow. Very cool. Super powerful.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of it's an engine onto itself in the sense that, if you are able to, it gives you 1 exile for free. And if you can exile even one other thing, it can kind of start the chain over again. And that's cool.
Yeah, and it's nice that it has the built-in way to transform it on the front face of the card, which hasn't always been the case with these modal double-faced cards.
Yeah.
So I really love that now too, that they've changed that to be the way that it is here in this set.
Yeah, and it does fit with the superhero thing additionally in the sense that it's so superhero to be walking around in your street clothes, just doing I don't know what exact. I mean, I guess Gwen Stacy's performing something. I admittedly don't know much about Gwen Stacy. Gwen Stacy is the one from the like the Spider-Verse animated ones as well, right? Yeah. So I'm familiar with those movies, but I don't remember the performer part of Gwen Stacy's identity in those movies being heavily highlighted. But that aside, you're just walking around doing your stuff, and then you transform into a superhero and you get to show up in a completely different way. So it feels very flavorful in a number of ways for sure.
Next up, we're going to talk about Modified. Modified, which cares about counters and things on cards. Let's take a peek at Costume Closet, which is great art, by the way. Showing a bunch of Spidey costumes in somebody's closet. For 1 and a white for an artifact, uncommon. Enters with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Tap, move a +1/+1 counter from this artifact onto target creature you control. Activate only as a sorcery. Whenever a modified creature you control leaves the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on this artifact. So you've got a little closet. Your +1/+1 counters are your costumes, and you're getting them and you're putting them on your creachies. And even if they leave,
and then those people are dying violent deaths, and then and then the costume
you get to wear their clothes.
You get to wear their clothes again.
This card is like an estate sale.
Yeah. It truly is.
You're like going through it and you're like, I'm taking this old lady's fur coat from 1945.
Saying it for sure. It feels like it's a card that will definitely pay you off for being in that archetype if that archetype is playable in draft, which I assume that it will be, because it starts out with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. That's just fine in some ways. Like 2 mana to put 2 +1/+1 counters on 2 different creatures over 2 turns. Not amazing, but it's not terrible. And then the idea that any creature that you put one on with this will put it back on if it ever dies or leaves the battlefield. So web slinging works with this too, by the way.
Yep.
And in addition to that, if you have other creatures that are modified in other ways, it can put more than just the 2 that it started with on this card. So feels like a cool. It's very flavorful, and it feels like it might actually be playable for a card like this. Because sometimes you see cards like this. I remember there was one in Eldraine that was kind of like this. It was like a weapons rack or something like that, and you definitely didn't want to be messing around with that card. So
modified, for a little refresher for everybody, it means equipment Auras you control and counters are modifications.
Yeah.
So
if the
that can be
creature
a
has
minus
those
one,
things
minus
on them.
one.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It can be +1/+1 counter. Any kind of counters, a flying counter, first strike counter. I know we had sets where you could get those.
Yep.
But if somebody puts an aura on your creature, like to tap it down or something like that, that does not count because it's not controlled by you.
Yeah.
And finally, Tyler, I'm going to give you the Soul Stone.
All right, great. I don't know if this counts as a mechanic. This seems interesting as a
Yeah,
mechanic, but I guess in a way it is. So we'll read it that way. So the Soul Stone is 1 and a black for a legendary artifact, Infinity Stone. They have, by the way, said that they're going to make all of the Infinity Stones eventually, but this will be the only one in this set. So we're getting one. So we by way of extrapolation, we say to ourselves, I think there's going to be at least 7 Marvel sets. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Interesting.
Or,
am I right?
I mean, maybe there's going to be multiple Infinity Stones in a Marvel
set. Yeah,
that's
totally possible. Maybe there'll be some where there's more than one. Am I right that there's 7? I might have.
How many Infinity Stones?
Oh gosh. Yeah,
I don't know actually. Oh my gosh, I got to turn my nerd card in.
Yeah, truly. If that same for me. Although I feel like I can. My nerd card doesn't.
6. There's 6.
Okay. Well,
space, power, reality, soul, mind, and time.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad that I caught myself there because I said it out loud and I was so confident, and then I was like, why do I feel confident in this? Shouldn't I be doubting myself right now, like I normally do? And then sure enough, it was able to help me.
There's a dispute here. The Ego Stone possibly could be
considered
okay.
Well, oh, wow.
But,
all right. So, hey, I'll take it then. I was correct, and I will go to my grave believing that. Either way, there's going to be all of the rest of the Infinity Stones, however you define them, are going to be printed. And so to get back to this card, it's 1 of black for a legendary artifact, and it's indestructible, so that's nice. Then it also taps to add a black, so it's a pretty good mana rock to begin with if you're playing black mana. Then it also has the ability 6 and a black, tap it, exile a creature you control, harness the Soul Stone. And then in parentheses it says, once harnessed, it's infinite ability. I guess it's just an infinity sign. Its infinity ability is active. Then the infinity symbol and a dash. So that, I guess that's the mechanic weird. Is like infinity here, I guess, which is quite a mechanic when you think about it. At the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So very powerful. I mean, a 2-mana card that can obviously, by spending a fair amount more mana, get to a place where it is really doing something extremely powerful. Because that's an effect that if your deck is built around it, that's going to be a must remove threat, and it's indestructible. So there's a fairly limited amount of removal that actually exiles artifacts. So it's a card that is kind of hard to interact with. And so, yeah, it's definitely. I don't feel like I look at this one and think One Ring, which I am not a fan of at all. Yeah. One of my least favorite cards, quite honestly.
So powerful, too powerful.
Too powerful and just so annoying. It's just like, okay, yeah, I can't. Like, they play it and you can't attack, and it's just, it's just the worst feeling. But this feels very powerful, but not so annoying, perhaps, to play against. Who knows? Maybe it'll be even worse. But just reading it, that's how it reads to me.
I think it's interesting. Are the stones all going to have some kind of different infinity ability, do you think, once they hit their
I guess harness? I assume so. Like it feels like that probably. And I suppose one would imagine that there's eventually going to be a glove that like can, you know what I mean? There might be some like true dream that you can play all the stones, and then there's this gauntlet, and
you win every game for the next 5 years.
I really hope that's what that card says.
Yeah.
And you have to bring like video evidence of you having assembled it all, and then once you do, and it also has to be like
through official Wizards channel.
There has to have been like a judge there with you when you played it, so that they can verify it. And then once you do that, all you need to do is show the video, and you can become it's going to be interesting in terms of like the World Championships and stuff. Like because if you can get onto the Pro Tour after that, you're kind of unstoppable. Like you got like it's a blank check.
Oh yeah, you're good to go.
Yeah. Oh man.
Talk about getting on the train. Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be a controversial printing, but I do hope that is what the gauntlet says at that point.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we'll see. And to your point about how many Marvel sets are going to be, they talked in their preview panel, Mark Rosewater, which is no secret, he's a huge Marvel fan. Yeah. That's always been kind of his main thing. And he said to be able to make this set, and being such a huge Marvel fan, was a dream of mine since I started working at Wizards of the Coast, and I never thought really it would happen.
Yeah.
And here we are. So I feel like it's just going to there's no brakes on this.
Yeah.
There ain't no reins on this. One, to quote Brokeback Mountain. And part of me is like, okay, great. That means we've got, a very popular media crossover for us for a number of years. But also, once we get to the Omenpaths thing, gosh, do I have some twisted feelings about that.
Yes, because we know, and we assume this will not change, that they do not have the digital rights to Marvel at all, because
Correct.
Marvel has its own game that is not exactly Magic, but is somewhat similar, and similar enough that they're not going to let them print or digitally represent cards that are Marvel
I've got to
themed.
say, so listeners of the pod, no, I was a Marble Snap player when that came out, and I was hardcore into it.
Yes, this I know about you as well, because you really, you went hard on it big time for a number of months after it came out.
I loved Marble Snap. I loved the customization of cards and the collectability of it, which was also a huge downside for people getting into the game, by the way.
Of course. A little bit of money could be spent on that.
Oh, yeah. I spent more money on Marble Snap in 1 year than probably 3 years of Magic. I'm not kidding. Maybe more.
Wow.
So Magic, think about that statement I just made.
Yeah.
But the thing is that it taught me so much about all of these cards that I'm now seeing here in Spider-Man. Like, I would have had, since I was not a comic book reader growing up, I would have had no idea who the Sandman was, who Electro was. I know he was in one of the movies, Sandman, or whatever. But it's just given me a connection to the characters in the game in a way that I wouldn't have had without Snap. I did stop playing because the meta got kind of like not great to play for a while. I don't know where it's at now, but anyway, I don't know what my point is. My point is, like, Snap did a good job of giving me a connection to these characters and getting me excited about playing them and to know a little bit more about their story, which we'll see if Magic can do the same thing here with this set.
All right. Yeah, the challenge has been issued.
So speaking of the Soul Stone, let's talk a little bit about the art treatments we're going to get in this set pretty briefly, because, I mean, some of them are pretty cool. The Soul Stone is like the headliner card of the set. That's what they're calling it. So that's the one, like, if you pull it like Edgar Markov or whatever, it's got a really cool, awesome, unique art treatment, and they're often numbered. Anyway, this is like, they've got it in a textless cosmic foil, which... I mean, all I've seen is just the still image of it, and I can only imagine how cool this is going to look in real life.
It's already pretty just in the still image, and you can tell even from the still that there's a lot of like movement on the card when it's, if you saw it in person, because you could see how the foiling is kind of integrated into every part of the card.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Oh, gosh. I'm going to be so excited to see this IRL because I think it's going to look gorgeous.
Yeah, I agree. It is stunning.
There's going to be 3 versions of this that come out in this set. There's one that has artwork from Vulcan Baga. There's the borderless gauntlet version. That's the one where you see Thanos holding his little gauntlet. His little gauntlet. Wow, he'd be so mad at me for saying it that way.
It is, it is kind of large.
And then this textless cosmic foil. Hey, Tyler, do you know if you were snapped out of existence?
Ooh, I don't. Yeah, is there some place you can go and
there was a website. There was a website. I want you to Google it right now and be like, did Thanos snap me out?
Okay, hold on.
Because I did this back when the movie came out, which is probably when the website came out, and I personally was snapped out. I was snapped out.
Is it just did Thanos kill you?
Yeah. Okay. Maybe.
Hey,
I mean,
I was spared by Thanos. That's what it said.
Oh my God. Okay. So I was snapped. You were saved. Wow. Crazy.
It's crazy that it didn't need. I mean, I feel a little uncomfortable because I think it didn't need any information in me, which either means it either means
it's 50-50, man.
But I'm saying it's either I want it to have like analyzed me in some way. You know? What I mean?
Thanos. No. It doesn't matter. You just got to get that sweet balance as I try to balance this highball on my oh God.
that would really be if a highball like destroyed your whole computer setup at your house. That would be one of the greatest ironies that I've ever heard of. You know what I mean? Because it's given
the number of times
it's given you life for such a long time, and if it were to like really knock you out of things, like ding. That would be ding.
Oh, God. Okay, so that's one new style we're going to see in this set. They also have borderless classic comic cards, which they look like comic book covers or moments from inside the comics.
Yep.
Which are borderless, like I said, and quite beautiful.
Yes.
And some of them are featuring the original art from
Yep.
the comic books as well.
Yep.
On the bonus sheet, we get to see that happening, which they call borderless source material cards, which give us some very cool artist lines because
Yep.
they're the original comic artists that drew them.
Yeah. And
So-
I think especially for comic book lovers, my sense is that these, like, I know one of the ones that's featured here is a reprint of Heroic Intervention. And I believe this is the cover of the very first, or at least the first panel that Spider-Man was ever in, which it wasn't his own comic at that point. It was like a kind of one of the generic collections of superheroes that they used to release. Like, I think it was called, that's supposed to be like Adventure Time or whatever. And so it's this card just has, I'm sure for people that are interested in that, or have that as a part of their childhoods, I'm sure there's just a lot of nostalgia and interest in having some of their favorite cards represented by some of their very favorite moments from comic books.
Absolutely. I know some huge Spider-Man fans in my life, and I know that they would just absolutely love some of these cards to relive those moments. The other final art treatment we're going to get is called textured foil borderless costume change cards. Is that enough words for you to describe something?
Yeah, it does not roll off the tongue.
So what's going to happen is we've got a card like Spectacular Spider-Man, but he's going to show up in a bunch of different costumes. It's the same card. It's just him wearing different outfits in the art, which is actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Reminds me a little bit of the Chocobo, which could show up like pink Chocobo, black Chocobo.
That's true.
From Final Fantasy.
Yeah, and
So-
I like in this too that, like, even if I imagine that there's a bunch of different versions of these, probably not just two like are represented in this article we're reading, but I like that they made it so that the pose of the art is the same, so at least they're kind of recognizable. Like, you can look at these two cards and know that they're the same pretty easily, versus if it was like all the different costumes and they were in completely different positions each one, there would be like 50
it would be really
versions
weird.
of this card. Like, I would not be as big of a fan of that. So yeah, I like how
I agree.
they've handled that.
We have to say thank you to the people who make Good Luck High Five happen. And number one there is going to be Card Kingdom. You can check them out on the interwebs at cardkingdom.com/GLHF. Order yourself some Spider-Man right now. And guess what? It's going to be actual Spider-Man cards, not this through the Omenpaths nonsense.
What a novel thing that is.
Sorry, not sorry. Get yourself a booster box, and we always say you can play a bunch of drafts with your friends. Well, you can play even more drafts with your friends if you do pick 2 draft, and just to kind of see how that new format feels. Easier to fire as well with your buddies. If you want to pick up a box now, cardkingdom.com/GLHF. They pre-order, and if you buy them before a certain date, let me look that up right now. All sealed only product orders. If the order is placed by before midnight Pacific time on September 15th, it'll ship on September 19th. That is pre-release weekend, so you get access to your box before the release date,
cool.
which will be pretty cool. Lots of pre-ordering as well as for the singles of the set that you can do at Card Kingdom as well right now. And remember that if you use Card Kingdom to sell any of your old stuff, you're going to get a better trade-in value. Then you can get some store credit to go towards cards you actually want. And all of your orders shipped to you in one package. cardkingdom.com/GLHF. We also want to shout out Dragon Shield. Dragon Shield, we talked to you about their new cards, which are anti-glare, which you can check out on their website. They also have these beautiful new color options available right now. Embrace natural beauty, they say, with Gooseberry and Blossoms, their new dual pastel sleeves. Let me tell you, this Blossom color is
pretty.
So beautiful. The Gooseberry is also very nice. The Blossom's kind of like a light pink, and the Gooseberry is sort of a mint green. It's their matte dual sleeves, so check that out if either of those colors seem nice to you, because I think they're really, really lovely, and I think those are going to sell pretty quickly. So check them out in the link in the show notes or underneath this video to get yourself some Gooseberry or Blossom sleeves from Dragon Shield. And if you use code GLHF, you're going to save yourself 5% off your order at checkout. So we've gone over the mechanics, the art treatments with this set. There's something new they're going to be trying as well in draft with this set, which is something called Pick 2 Draft. And for the longest time, Wizards says they called this format Pick 2 Draft 4-person draft because that's what it's going to be. It's not a pot of 8, it's a pot of 4. And they tested it out at Magicons, by the way. If you've been at a Magicon and they played it, they called it Lightning Draft. So it's the same thing, but they changed the name to Pick 2 Draft now because they thought that was the most important change from normal 8-person drafting, is the fact that you pick 2 cards every pick.
Yeah.
Tyler, how do you feel about this as our resident draft expert?
Well, it's a great question. I'm mostly excited about it. I think there's a decent chance that it might be bad, but I also think that it's something new, and I'm excited.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that?
It just feels like draft. When I say bad, I'm being a little flippant, but I think I feel like draft is so well tuned, and they have spent so much time really dialing in on an 8-person draft format where you are picking one card, that I think it's such a massive change to that. Like it's on its face, it feels like they're very similar, but the picking 2 versus picking 1 and only having 4 people versus having 8 is like almost like it's a whole different thing altogether. Like
Sure.
I think that it will feel very, very different than a normal draft does. And I just worry that there's not going to be the same, that it'll just end up being something where they haven't thought of one thing or the other, and it'll be a format that won't be very interesting to play because it'll be like, oh, you just should do this, or oh, it's not very fun to draft because you don't get to feel the same agency that you do in a normal draft. Because if an example of like a scenario I could see playing out is you have to pick, so in the first 2 packs you're picking 4 cards, and so you're starting out like really committed. Like after 2 packs, you've kind of committed yourself in some respects. In a normal draft format, once you get 4 cards, you're starting to feel like, oh, this is like a direction that I'm headed in, and
Sure.
Maybe you'll swerve from there, but most of the time you'll feel bad if you have to, like those first 4 cards are usually going to be ones that if you can't play any of those. Yeah. And if you couldn't play any of those first 4 cards, you would feel really bad, I think, most of the time. So I'm just curious how many times you're going to get into a situation where you pick 4 cards, and let's say you pick 4 cards of the same color, which would feel kind of good, I think, in some ways. Then let's say that color gets cut hard.
Yeah.
Then you're in a situation where you're like, oh, what do I do now? Whereas usually you get the signals are way clearer to read because you've had 4 separate packs and you've gotten to see like 4 different choices that were happened like as they progress down the table. And in this scenario, you're just getting 2 packs. So you're just dealing with your pack and the picks of the person right before you. So there's just a lot less information that you're getting in that way, I think.
Sure. Yeah.
So I just worry about that. And I worry that this format is smaller. There's fewer cards in this set than a normal set. And I also know that they've said as a way of trying to mitigate some of what I've already been talking about, there are only going to be 5 draft archetypes instead of the normal 10. So there's only going to be the allied color pairs are the only ones that are going to have archetypes that are supported in the format. And to mitigate that, they have tried to do a bunch of things with hybrid mana costs, which I think is cool, and I'm fascinated by that. And
same.
So the idea is that you'll be able to pick cards in those first 4. If you pick, 3 hybrid cards in those first 4, those cards will be way, way more. They might fit in, 3 or 4 of the 5 decks that you might want to be building. So I'm just curious to see how all that plays out. And I worry because it's a brand new thing that it just won't be as satisfying as draft generally, as I generally find draft. But on the flip side, I'm really excited because it's a brand new thing, and it will certainly be there will certainly be a level of just excitement to something that you've never really gotten the chance to do before. Last week they had a preview for the midweek Magic on Arena. They had a Foundations to pick draft, which that's obviously a format that wasn't designed to be that way at all. And you're also playing with just 3 random people on the arena who may or may not even have read what the real rules of the thing were before they got into it. But it was interesting because you really did feel, my experience in that one draft was you felt like, oh, I am like, it's like so fast the way that you're suddenly committed to the color pairs that you're interested in continuing to draft as the set goes on, or as the draft goes on, I should say. So yeah, I'm mostly curious because I think even if it's awful, they're trying something new, and I appreciate that. And who knows if it's great, then it does just having to draft with 4 people. That is a huge advantage over the 8 people because the number of times that will work out that you'll be able to get 4 people together to draft versus 8 people together to draft.
Oh yeah.
It's exponentially higher.
Right. There's saying 7 in the queue. Let me tell you how many times we've all heard that.
Exactly.
But 3 in the queue seems a lot more manageable.
Yes, it's way more inviting, I think, for sure. Yeah, no doubt.
I think probably what's going to happen is stores are going to have a pick 2 draft like that coincides with the release of this set. That's just my guess. And for people who maybe are Commander players, not familiar with draft, it seems like it has the potential to be a nice entryway drug for people into draft because it will fire very quickly.
Yep.
The draft's going to go faster.
Definitely.
It's
much
certainly
faster.
going to take less time.
Probably like twice as fast. I mean, I would imagine.
Twice as fast, right? And all the rest of that, especially playing out with only 4 people. It just seems like perhaps that could be a nice, sort of side effect of this faster, quicker draft format is that people become interested in traditional 8-person draft.
Yeah.
But like you said, I have the same concerns about it of you've got to commit, pretty early, and you can also get cut pretty hard if you've committed early to all one color and then So, but you mentioned the hybrid mana. That's a huge thing in this set, so that's going to help it out. Very interested to try it. I'm not sure if they're going to be running these with this set on Arena, though I can't imagine they won't be.
Yeah, especially with that preview thing they did, or with the midweek Magic thing they did. I imagine they will. I imagine that was kind of like a way of getting people just a little taste of it before they dump that on people with this set.
Yeah.
That would be my strong guess because otherwise I feel like if they have the ability to do it, and since we know that these Arena cards are going to be the same just with weird / cool, depending on who you maybe talk to, re-artings of the Spider-Man cards. I can't believe that they're gonna just have a normal draft when the whole set was designed to be.
Yes, it has been confirmed. It is coming to Arena, and it will be there as an option for players. So you'll draft in a 4-player pod, just like tabletop, but then you'll play in a general queue, so same as an 8-person draft on Arena right now. So you won't play.
That'd be crazy if they tried to implement pod.
I know. It would be so weird.
Pod play in
pod play.
Yeah, I mean, I wish that there was an option that you could at least like somehow you and your friends or something. You know what I mean? I wish that. I get why on some level it isn't, but that would be cool if there was some way to. Similar to how you can do on Magic Online, where you can kind of create your own.
Well, let me tell you, Tyler, the days of Magic Online and pod-only play. Let me talk to you about how that was. It was a freaking pain in the old A.
Yeah,
let me tell you.
I am sure that that's true. I get the reasons for it, but I just wish there was some option that you could say, "Oh, I want to do this," and it's more like I'm getting my friends together and we're all agreeing to do it at the same time. Like
sure,
just a way of
that makes that would be
making
fun.
your own draft over the internet, basically, versus what happens now.
I mean, let me just tell you a tale from one old grandma Magic player to another. When you're watching a stream, it was so funny because Magic streamers had to essentially have a secondary game or something that they would play in between rounds.
So long.
It sometimes take 45 minutes plus while you're waiting for your next match. So like you'd play like Pictionary where they draw a Magic card and chat, try to guess what it is or whatever. And it was just like so much time being killed. Yeah. And at home when you were playing one, you'd be like, oh, do I have 6 hours?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, what can I do in between while I'm waiting for my draft to fire? And then your game fires, but you weren't even at your computer because you went to make dinner or something. Anyway, it was, we had to walk uphill both ways in the snow is what I'm trying to say.
Yes. I see and I understand. Yeah.
Everybody, we're finally on to our Through the Omenpaths portion of the show, which is where my giant thumbs down comes in. You all know how I felt about this for a long time, but the idea here is that, right, they didn't get the rights to Marvel digitally, or it wasn't part of the negotiation. Who knows what, but they can't do it. And so what's going to happen is when this set comes to Arena, all of the cards are going to have different names, different art, and sometimes different words in the rules text of the card because it doesn't make sense not to in some of these cases, which we'll explain. So through the Omenpaths, everybody, there are already available to pre-order on Magic Arena, which I did. I always get the play bundle. Is that the one?
Yeah.
That has the draft tokens in it and stuff? Yeah,
Yes,
I
play
didn't
bundle
get
is
the
yeah.
packs because, I get the play bundles because it's good value if you're drafting or whatever. And you get a pet in this
Which I
case,
found
it's a
interesting because
sliver.
that feels like that means
but-
slivers are going to be heavily featured in this. Maybe because they're kind of spidery.
This
I mean,
interesting.
they're kind of spider adjacent.
I guess. Maybe.
Ugh.
The thing is, I wanted to see what it was like when I bought it. I went on Arena, I saw it, and I'm like, even though I know about it, even though I have a GD podcast about this, I looked at it and I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, it didn't click for me. You know what I mean? It did not click that it was the new set, that it had anything to do with Spider-Man coming out, because of course it couldn't, you know?
Yeah.
So what do you do? Anyway, they're available for pre-order right now. The set's full card image gallery is going to be live on September 8th, and then you can actually play with them on the 23rd. So the 23rd that's a Tuesday when it's going to be out on Arena for everybody to play. And I was curious how much of a disconnect there would be for me, you know, and we've now have seen 2 of these cards. They've previewed 2 of them for us.
Yeah.
And the answer is extreme. I think I would say I do so much work as somebody who works for coverage in trying to know the names of these cards, recognize them based on the art and all that kind of stuff. And it's just unreal how much more difficult our jobs have already become very difficult in the past few years with the different versions of the cards, with the bonus sheets and everything. But you know what? We've rolled with the punches, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, poor me in my life as a host of the Pro Tour, but like, truly, it's mind-boggling to try and keep track of this, especially say you go to a pre-release event, you get your kit, and you're like, oh yes, I got the Soul Stone. I know what this card does. I know what it looks like. Now I'm going to go on Arena, and I'll recognize it, and I'll know to take that in my draft. I'll know to play it in my sealed pool. Not the case, I will say. Not the case with these Through the Omenpaths cards, because we now know what the Soul Stone is going to be in this set. And let me tell you, if you would have told me that that's what this card was, just from glancing at it, even for looking at it for 30 to 40 seconds, I would have been like, I have no idea what this card is. No idea. It's called the Terminus of Return. What? It's not even like related. It's not even like.
It's also one of those names that really almost like makes your brain fold in on itself a little bit, because it's like the Terminus of Return. It feels like a terminus is like the end of something, and a return is like a coming back of something, and like it's like, what are those 2 things? I get how those 2 things could fit together, but just having them be the title of this thing and it's an artifact, it does.
It sounds like a sorcery. I understand the return part of it because I know what the Soul Stone does. Why can't it even just be called the Graveyard Rock? Why can't it be called Reanimation Shard? You know what I'm saying? Like, this bears no likeness to the name of the Soul Stone, in my opinion. The art doesn't even look like it.
Yeah.
It is a stone, I guess,
Which
but it doesn't
maybe they were
remind
kind of
me of
like,
it.
I wonder if there was a certain line they had to walk with even making them, you know, like I would imagine that if they were like Soul Shard and that it looked, you know what I mean? Maybe that like their agreement with Marvel. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea, but it seems
I don't
possible
know.
that they needed to distance it enough. If I want to be generous, it is a real tough line to walk. That this, I think the issue was just that this was going to happen, period, at the point where they were like, we want to do Marvel and we can't get the digital rights.
Yes.
And I think as soon as you make that decision, maybe it's the right one, maybe it's the wrong one, but this is always going to be not great, I think, because you're trying to walk
it's
this
always gonna be
really
gnarly.
thin line between like all obviously the confusion and everything you said, but also we want the card to be the same thing mechanically, but be different enough that we're not just, you know, straight up alluding to the thing that we were told we couldn't, you know, make a digital version of because of the IP rights of it.
Yeah, I mean it's called the Legendary Artifact Terminus Stone. That's the type line of this card.
Yeah, please.
I have to just say one thing.
Yeah.
Before I go on and read this card, which is, this is a huge L for Magic, in my opinion, not having the digital rights to print these. And I don't know why they couldn't get them.
It would
I
make
assume it's because of Snap, etc. But I also think it's an
Yeah.
L from Marvel. I gotta say, like, there is nothing in this that if
Yeah.
there, I would not be confused.
Between
the
Snap
different
and-
kinds
yeah,
of games
yeah,
I'm playing.
I
I'm a
agree with
Snap
that,
player.
yeah.
I'm a Magic player.
Yeah.
They're so different. It's
Yeah.
just not even the same realm, in my opinion. Even though they're both digital
Yeah.
TCGs,
Sure,
more or less, or CCGs, whatever. But like,
Yeah.
it's not. It's just not the same thing. I would not have any confusion around it. And now I'm
and I
extremely
agree with you that
confused.
it kind of cheapens. Like it does sort of put a little bit of a stink on the whole thing. Like it just because I hadn't thought of it from the perspective of an L for Marvel, but I don't totally. I see what you're saying.
Because they're not getting that brand recognition now from
and
having
it just
a digital
like their
space for Magic.
the Marvel debut on Magic is colored by this thing that's really at the so many people. If you play paper Magic, there's a high percentage chance that you also play Arena. Like there's just like there's obviously lots of people that play paper Magic that don't play Arena, and there's certainly people that play Arena that don't play paper Magic, but the overlap is still pretty high. And yeah, to have your product that is, your IP that, they've certainly gone a long way, they've made massive, what am I trying to say? They have really bent over backwards in other situations to try to make the Marvel brand this very specific thing. And I think having it debut on this other really large platform in this way feels bad. Yeah, for them too, I would imagine. So, if you're someone who's like one of the people that made this happen on the Marvel side and you're like, yeah, and on Arena, it's the terminus of return, that I feel like that would kind of feel bad.
I just hope that because we believe that Spider-Man was supposed to be a small set similar to Assassin's Creed when it first came out, and it's since been expanded. My only hope is that they made this deal thinking it was going to be a small Assassin's Creed situation. They didn't feel that bad about it. That in the future, when we get these other Marvel sets, that we change this and this doesn't have to happen again. I'm not super optimistic about that being the case.
It certainly seems like they're setting up through the Omenpaths to be a thing that happens more than once,
thing
for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my far-flung hope, maybe.
Hope.
But Marvel, if you're listening, just let up on this.
Truly,
it's so dumb. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me read this card because it does not read the same. Which, wow, having that
you've
be
already.
also
I mean,
true,
as you've already said, it's a
understand,
terminus stone and not an infinity stone. So it is. Like even that has changed already.
Indestructible, tap, add black, 6 and a black. This is the same. Exile a creature you control, harness the terminus of return. And then instead of that infinity symbol, it now says origin. At the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. What?
Yeah.
I hate it. How am I supposed to keep my brain straight around this?
All right.
Okay, let's read the other one.
Yeah, sure.
Good
gravy. Please. Yeah, I know. I feel like I need to give you a break just for emotional reasons. Like I think it's like I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want you to be submitted to this second card, given what happened with the first one. So this second one, this card is 1 red for Kraza. The Swarm is 1. Well, we don't know, but he is running through a truly horrifying number of spiders. I guess they're probably the thing I thought about when I saw this card is, are these spiders okay? Like, is he killing like 1,000 spiders every time he steps, or are they like magically forming around his feet because he's as one with them? I like to think it's the second one, but it is a little. I'm a little worried for these spiders. But anyway, getting back to the card, it has Riot, so you can either choose to give it a haste or a +1/+1 counter when it comes into play. And then it also says other spiders you control have Riot. Spells and abilities can't be countered. Damage can't be prevented, and it's a 2/1. So this card was the Spider-Man equivalent of this is Spider-Punk. And everything. This one does read the same, other than the card name and the art, obviously. But yeah, it's the thing I'm so fascinated about is, what is the story going to be here? Like, I really want to know.
I know.
There's a morbid fascination with what the story is going to be here, and how, because they have to. Basically, I would say, the Infinity Stone aside, which obviously is a little bit different. I'm sure there'll be at least a few other ones that are like that, where the text of the card has some differences versus the Spider-Man versions, it's clear based on this other one, Kraza, we don't know, that the types are probably going to be, for the most part, exactly the same. So we have a lot of spider heroes. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to have spider villains.
Yeah. They're like, what if our hero, some guy, I don't know, stay with me. He falls into he gets bit by a spider. I don't know how. He's like a teen. It changes. Doesn't have to wear glasses anymore. I don't know. I don't know where I'm
Yeah, exactly. And that's the line they have to walk, because they're obviously not going to do that. But how do they make it seem like a cohesive world and story when they started out none of the decisions about the types or the text of the card could be made with their story in mind at all. You know, like, they had all of that was essentially unmovable obstacles for whoever was coming up with the story and world of this from the jump. They just were handed all those things, and there was no real way that they could be adjusted. I would assume, based on what I know about how this was developed. So I'm just really fascinated to see what that's like. I don't expect that it will be good, but like I said, there's just a morbid curiosity on my part about what exactly will all these spider heroes and spider villains be doing in this world that is in the actual Magic universe, you know, and is now going to be canon, you know, like, to just like Urza and everything else.
Yeah, I know. It's so strange, and it's just going to be whiplash going from the pre-release to going online and playing this. I'm going to be so confused. Sorry, that's just the way it is. And I hate it. That's my hot take. I friggin' hate this, and I wish it was not the way that this was being handled. Perhaps there was no choice, but my God, is this bad. This is like my least favorite thing in Magic since I've started playing the game, quite honestly.
It's a big bummer.
I just do not
and
like
I'm
this
as a person who
decision.
Generally, as I think I alluded to on a recent episode, there's often times where, you know, the arts and all that stuff, I think some of them are really cool and I appreciate them. I wouldn't want it to just be blank pieces of cardboard with numbers on it. Like, that would take something away from me. But I don't get that invested in what's going on in the art or like the characters or any of that stuff. It kind of fades away to some degree when I start to actually play the game. Like, I kind of just get in and I'm like doing this and this. So I'm curious, once I start to play this, whether it will, and just whether I'll
blend together or not.
Continue to feel a little bit of like it's almost like a feeling of dysphoria where there's just something, you know, like something's not right, you know, like something is off about it. And it's hard to put your finger on. Like, you can name a bunch of things, but it's also kind of hard to put your finger on exactly what, you know, the overarching feeling of having these Spider-Man cards and then also Kraza the Swarm as one are, you know, it's just like,
sorry, Kraza,
no
don't
shade,
know who you are,
you know,
and I don't know if I'm gonna care.
I hope Kraza,
no shade, but
like, assuming that he's not murdering like an unholy number of spiders every time he needs to go out of the house. Like, I hope he's doing fine, but like, I don't know that I really want to. I just didn't want him in my life. You know, I would have preferred that we just have Spider-Man.
Spider-Punk's
and
cool. Spider-Punk's art,
and it's just
very cool. So it makes me a little
my
sad.
main way, for the most part, of interacting with Magic is through Arena. I have been going to pre-releases since you got me into doing that, and have really enjoyed it. But Arena is what that's really my main avenue into it. And so it's a bummer that I probably won't really interact with the Spider-Man cards all that much, other than the Commander arcade game that I got to help produce and a pre-release, and maybe an odd place here or there, but for the most part, these are going to be the cards I'm going to be playing with, you know, and it does feel like a bummer.
Well, I will say this one interesting point. You mentioned that people who play paper probably play Arena, and I don't know if I can agree with you about that. Because if we think about their sales data or their whatever from the past quarterly report we got,
that's true.
Was that Arena was losing a lot of money, and paper was gaining a lot of money. So I think that's up due to Commander, and then we have that huge question if we can ever get a platform
Arena,
or get Commander on Arena.
No, I even as I was saying it, I kind of couched myself a little bit and said, you know, like there's certainly a healthy overlap, but I'm sure that there are many people who just play paper. As you mentioned, Commander is a great example of how it's the most popular way. I mean, there's not great measurements of this, but I think most people agree it's the most popular way to play paper Magic outside of maybe just whatever, kitchen Magic or whatever you want to call it, where people are just kind of throwing cards together.
Yeah,
and,
kitchen table.
And playing something that may or may not even follow the rules. But the Commander, in terms of anything that's like organized, I think is the most popular way to play. And those people, I'm sure a number of them play Arena, but there is no Commander on Arena, so I'm sure that a number of them don't. Yeah.
It's a question I'm going to have is what is their commitment to actually supporting Arena and throwing, in this case, throwing
not
money
a lot.
away
It's not like
on Arena
but
the past time.
It's not making much
not
money.
A lot, but
in recent times, yeah.
Right. So what if I'm Mr. Hasbro, Chris Cox, am I like, what's the point, right, of supporting this if we're not going to have the player base supported financially? So anyway, something to watch this space, I suppose, in the future for what happens.
As of right now, what is happening
there you go, everyone.
is a little,
there's my take.
It's not either of our favorites. I think we can safely say that.
Well, friends and family and foes, as Megan would say, that's the end of this episode of Good Luck High Five. I hope you're all hyped for the new Spider-Man set coming out, or that you're anti-hyped for this Omenpaths thing. Because what I want from you is one of the extremes.
Either
you know what? No lukewarm
despair.
takes. Yeah. So interested to know what you think as well. This is always a conversation on Good Luck High Five. So you can please post in the comments anything you're thinking about, anything we mentioned here on the show today. Head into our Discord if you're a patron and let us know what you think. I'm always curious, taking the temperature of our listeners. Where's my take versus where's your all's take, that kind of thing. Not always right,
Yeah, it might surprise
our
listeners to know that we're not always right,
But you can become a patron and get access to that Discord server by going to patreon.com/GLHFmagic. Thank you to Card Kingdom. Thank you again to Dragon Shield. Be sure to check out our Commander Arcade video dropping this Friday at youtube.com/@GLHFcommander. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and ding the bell for notifications. All of that helps us a lot to continue doing what we are doing, and we're very proud to be able to be a creator who had early access to this Spider-Man set as ambassadors. So we would truly appreciate the support of you going on playing that video, even if you just let it run in the background. That's what we need. And hopefully you're actually watching it too, because I would like to believe it's rather entertaining.
A lot of work goes into this. I mean, like many, many hours goes into the filming and then editing, which is actually the thing that takes the longest.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it does. Tyler and I edit each one of these videos by hand. It is artisan crafted
I will say,
everybody.
It does take a lot of time, but there is also joy in editing it, in just kind of like making, there's always like a little bit of a puzzle to it, and like making all the pieces fit together is fun. But unfortunately, fun doesn't pay the bills. You know what I mean? If only.
That's true. If only. If only it did.
Exactly. Well,
we would be millionaires, quite honestly.
Oh my gosh.
We also have a new little card flip animation in this new episode, which you're going to want to see it. Stuff like that really gets my nerdy heart going.
I think there's few people on the planet that are more hyped by such things than you are, and I love to be around it.
I know. I'm like, oh, you guys, new card animation. Oh my God. Oh, I gotta say too, for anyone who's heading to MagicCon Atlanta coming up this month now, what? The weekend of the 26th, 27th, and 28th of September, Good Luck High Five is going to be doing a meet and greet at the Dragon Shield booth at 11 a.m. on Sunday, the 28th. So that's myself, that's Megan, that's Judge Rob, that's Judge Eric. We're all going to be there signing cards, giving away stickers. We've got play mats that we're going to be selling. We'll take some photos with you. We'll give you a fist bump, whatever you want. Dragon Shield booth, 11 a.m. on Sunday. Be there. Or be square, even though I'm making a rectangle with my hands.
That's just the fingers that the Earth Mother gave you,
There we go. Yeah. So true. So I hope to see you all there, fans of the show, at 11 a.m. Sunday, MagicCon Atlanta. Thank you, Tyler, for hanging out this week. Thank you to myself for coming.
I think a double thank you to you because you're not feeling 100% now, but you've been feeling like close to 0% the few days before this. So
that's very true. Hey man, I put on pants
today.
That's a win.
That's a big win.
Let me tell you, that's more than I did yesterday.